Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Queuing Up Podcast. I am your host, as always, Damian Rocha Jr., and today we're going to be going over very simple, yet again, another Magic the Gathering topic, because that's what I like talking about. But this is basically going to be an episode about what got me into Magic, how I got into Magic, how I got into my favorite format of Magic, stuff like that, some cards that introduced me to it, and, bing, bang, boom, here we are. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I feel like every time I try to explain the story, it always gets like mangled and mushed up. So I've literally written out a script for me to follow, not exactly in the sense of like word for word, but it's just key points of chronological order of things that have happened because you know me, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I did this like 2 years ago. And then the person who was with me is like, no, we did that 7 years ago. I'll be like, oh, so my concept of time is just it's kind of just screwed up like a bolt and screw. But we're gonna start off pretty simple. The first time of me ever playing Magic was back in high school. It was, I think, either freshman year or sophomore year. I know it was between 2013 and 2014, and it was introduced to me by one of my really close friends, basically my brother at this point. His name is Colton. Now Colton, he introduced it to me by understanding that I like card games at the time, and I didn't play a lot of TCGs. I just played like poker, garbage, just basically anything with like a normal 52 pack of cards. There we go. But he was like, "Hey, I got this game that I think you'd like. It's called Magic." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I like, fantasy stuff, love Lord of the Rings, so let's see what, Magic's all about." And we were introduced by playing a mono black deck first, and I do believe it was just mono black rats, and it was really strong in my opinion. And at the time, like I said, I only understood the beginning of the game, like the beginner aspect of it. I didn't know a lot of the keywords, stuff like that. And, I played it, but even though he gave me his strongest deck, I kept losing, and I was so confused on that. So, he's like, "Do you think I'm a cheater?" And I was like, "No, I don't think you're a cheater. I just don't understand what's going on." So then he's like, "All right, watch this." Boom, he switches decks with me. Beats me even worse with the black deck against his other deck. So when we flip, I start understanding mono blue, and there is counter spells in there, and obviously I didn't know what those were, so he had to explain them one by one. But I wasn't understanding that by giving him information of what's in my hand, that would also benefit him knowing that he can play around it. So after we played like probably 6 games, and then me getting frustrated because it's me, he basically was really nice guy, really chill guy, and he was like, "All right, so I did that on purpose, and I didn't teach you much after teaching you, summoning your phases, because I want you to understand, and I want you to like know what sequencing is." Now, obviously, I know what sequencing was in day-to-day life, but when it's TCG like this, it's kind of like, oh, okay, you have to play one card before the other so you can set up, or you can, in his case, what he showed me was he played a stronger card so he can get a weaker card out, or vice versa, he played a weaker card that had like Death Touch, and I didn't want my creature to die, so I countered it. Now he's going to play the bigger one because he knows that counter spell's out of my hand. So he taught me how to sequence to basically make me not only have better turns, but to overall make me have a better playing experience. So the next time we played, I actually still ended up losing, but it wasn't by like an astronomical amount of life difference. So it was actually really nice of him, and I still like to this day that he showed me the game, at least at that point. And from my understanding, he hasn't played since then, if not like in the last couple of years. And I think it'd be really fun to just kind of not necessarily catch him up to speed, but like just get him, excuse me, get him a deck, or like just get him back into Magic, because he's a busy man. He's in the military, he's married, he's got a kid, so he barely has any free time. And when he does, he usually likes spending it with his family, which is perfectly fine with me because he's a family guy. I said the thing. But like I said, overall, I think it'd be very fun to get him back into playing Commander with us. Even if he wants to even play Standard, I'd play Standard with him, or just 60 card decks. I would love to play against him because he's the one that got me introduced to it. He got my foot into the game so I'd understand it. Now, like I said, this was back during my freshman year or sophomore year of college, not college, high school. So that was between 2013 and 2014. Now we're going to jump ahead 5 to 6 years because I didn't touch the game after that. Because growing up, didn't have a lot of money, was poor, yada, yada, the whole thing. But 2019, roughly July, but I have asked, and according to my sources, we actually didn't play until a month later. But in July of 2019, there is a set called M20. It was released. It is a core set that is essentially these sets. They were sets that were, I guess, from my research, entry points to beginners, and they're very beginner friendly because I remember when you open the set, they have like an entire what is it, pamphlet, like a paper pamphlet that tells you all the keywords, tells you like the names, legendary creature rule, the toughness, the power, synergies with the cards within the sets. Like, it's actually really cool. I kind of do miss them. I really do kind of miss them, but they do have like foundation things now. Ever since 2021, I believe they have foundation sets that they're the same thing. They just get you into the game. They teach you how to play the game, everything like that. You can make any kind of deck, whether it's commander decks or standard decks, whatever you want. Pretty cool. But M20 was released in July, and I thought that's when we started playing, but no, according to my sources, it is the next month. It's around August, if not September. I'm pretty sure it was August, though. In August, we started playing, and M20 is what we got introduced to. And from my memory, what I remember doing is at our local game store, or at my local like game store and like comic shop, I saw it on a shelf. And I was like, oh, I haven't touched this in like 5 to 6 years. My buddy was like, what is it? And I was like, it's a card game that's essentially just like, you have rats, wizards, like all these different things that my buddy told me. And the guy there was super helpful. He told us like, yeah, that's essentially right. You just, summon things in, you're a planeswalker, stuff like that. Or no, he didn't tell us you're a planeswalker. He just said you like summon stuff in, you play spells, whatever. So my buddy Rob looked at me, I looked at him, and Rob's like, grab it, we're playing. And I said, okay. So we grabbed it, sat down, and started understanding the game, and we had to watch videos and look things up. And Rob's the one who basically introduced me to what I didn't know was in the game of Magic, when you're playing with your deck, we're planeswalkers, and we're using spells to call forth people to help us, or like casting spells from our spell book to do things. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And what I got introduced to a lot of in this, which I still to this day love, was my favorite type of creature is elementals, and M20 had a lot of elementals. Now, the elementals were not introduced in M20. They were introduced to me. Let me clarify that before I say the wrong thing. Elementals as a creature type were introduced to me in this set. And there was some reprints, but in this set, there was a lot of elementals that I like, and there's one specific elemental that my buddy absolutely just hates. He hates this card. And this actually also introduced me to my favorite Magic card of all time, and I still have it in one of my decks because it's always going to be a special part of like me and of my experience with Magic. I understand it's not a good card, okay? So before you're like, why do you even like this? The artwork is cool. I misunderstood the name of the creature, and I think its abilities are really nice, and I'll get into that later. But starting off with one of the creatures, this one is just probably if you ever see me playing elementals and red and green are in the deck, this card is going to be there every single time. So first one is Creeping Trailblazer. Very simple. Costs 2 mana, 1 red, 1 green. He is an elemental creature, 2 toughness, or 2 power, 2 toughness. His 2 abilities. First one, other elementals you control get +1/+0. Now you might think, well, getting 1 to your power isn't that strong. You say that, but here's the thing. If there's creatures that are elementals that say like whenever you deal combat damage to a player, something happens, having that 1 extra point just to get over does a lot. Second, for 4 mana, which is 2 generic, 1 red, 1 green, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each elemental you control. Now, if you're playing Commander, you have a lot of cards that say Elemental in Commander, because Commander is all the cards throughout Magic's history that aren't banned, right? So you can even have Elemental creature tokens, because it doesn't say just Elemental, like, it doesn't just say non-token creatures, it just says creatures, like Elementals you control, or for each Elemental you control. So it doesn't say non-token Elemental, it just says each Elemental you control. So there's a lot of things that make Elemental tokens. He gets crazy. He gets out of control. Like even in our standard 60 card format that we were playing, he got big quick, and you only have 20 health. Oh, he was fantastic. Also, there is another card that I really enjoyed playing. It's the card that Rob hated. Before we move on to that, I have to give a shout out to Omnath. I think it's Locust Royal the Locust. But let me look that up while I continue. But Omnath was the card that I was running in the 60 card format. I believe I had 2 of them because me and Rob would go back and forth opening boxes, and he'd get his own, I'd get my own, because this is before everything inflated to insane prices. Because I remember on release, these things weren't even, they were like, what, $100, if that? Like, it was insane, and you got so many cards. Let's see here, release date. MTG. Yes, released. Okay, that's what it was. Original price. Yeah, so the booster boxes, the 36 packs, were $90 to $110 when they first came out. Now, not extremely expensive, but more expensive, which is insane. But yes, that card was really fun. But yes, Locust of the Royal, I believe, is his name. Very fun card. Omnath. Where are you, the pretty one? Yep. Omnath, Locust of the Royal. Now, Omnath says he's a 4-drop creature. He's going to cost 4 mana. So 1 generic, green, blue, red. Legendary creature, elemental. 3 power, 3 toughness. When Omnath enters, it deals damage to any target. That means any creature, even an opponent. So usually I would target my buddy Rob and be like, hey, you're going to take damage. But it deals damage to any target equal to the number of elementals you control. So if I'm playing an all-elemental deck, he's going to do at least, I think the most he's done in one turn was 5. Never more than 5 during our game. So 5, and you playing in what, 20 health game, that's already a fourth of your health gone. So like that's a quarter of your health gone from him just entering with 5 things. Oh no, because he counts himself, I believe. Yeah, when he enters, it deals damage. So even himself. So yeah. Then it has Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target elemental you control. You draw 8 or more, or if you control 8 or more lands, draw a card. So yeah, he's disgusting. And there's been a part of me that wants to rebuild him so many times. And in my mind, I feel like I want to, but there's so, and I mean so many different Omnaths that I think I might just do the 5-color Omnath with just straight elementals, even though I don't think that's how that Omnath works in any way, shape, or form. And if I remember this part of the podcast here, I will put Omnath Locust of the Royals card over here somewhere, just so you guys can see the card in the artwork. He looks so cool. He has really cool lore too. Do I know all of it? No. I just know he's an elemental that's basically, if I'm not mistaken, he is Zendikar's protector, which is the plane of existence that he lives on, or it lives on, because I don't even know if Omnath is a guy. I just assumed it's a guy because everyone I've heard talk about Omnath calls him a guy. But going right back onto topic here, the next card is the card that my buddy Rob absolutely just despises playing against, and I've built a commander that has this card in it, and it's not because he's an elemental, it's just because he has a triggered ability, and he believes I built that whole deck around him, and at first I was like, no, I didn't. But then I'm like, I could honestly just do that. But the card in question is called Risen Reef. It is 3 mana, so it's going to be 1 generic, 1 green, 1 blue. A creature, elemental, 1 power, 1 toughness, with, I believe it's just 2 abilities. I think it's just 1 ability. Whenever this creature or another elemental you control enters, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't put the card onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. Yeah, so it's a great way to just kind of like get all the lands out of your deck. And then, obviously, if it's not, you just get a free spell, essentially. And it's not non-token elementals. Once again, that's why Creeping Trailblazer and Risen Reef are so good in my eyes. Because you make tokens. When those tokens enter, or when you create them, Risen Reef will trigger. Guess what? Now I have a bunch of tap lands. My next turn, Creeping Trailblazer, 4 mana. Creeping Trailblazer is going to get massive depending on how many elementals I control, right? And it does say for each elemental you control, which counts himself. It doesn't say each other, because if it said each other, that means everything that's an elemental that isn't him. But because it says each elemental, it counts itself, which is even better, in my opinion. Yeah, Risen Reef, so good. You're essentially getting either a free land or a free card with every spell you play. Because I'm going to play it with elementals, unless I'm playing the 1 commander deck that it's in that doesn't have elementals except the 2. There's only 2 elementals in that whole deck, I think. But yes, very fun card. Absolutely love it. Love everything about it. My buddy Rob hates it. He despises this card, and it's not because it's a strong card. It's because I have won so many games with this card on the field that he just hates it. But moving right along, yeah, we're going to talk about my favorite card of all time. I'm going to explain the story of how I misunderstood what this was and what this creature I thought this creature was. So, the creature in question is called Knight of the Ebon Legion. He costs 1 mana. It's just going to be 1 black mana. He is a vampire knight creature with 1 power, 2 toughness. He has 2 abilities, the first one being 3 mana, so 2 generic, 1 black. This creature gets +3/+3 and gains death touch until the end of turn. Now, you play him turn 1, 2 more turns go by. Instead of being a 1/2, right, he is going to be a 4/5 with death touch, which means he's going to kill anything he hits unless it's indestructible or that thing has first strike and is stronger than him. But anything that blocks it, he's going to kill. That's what I absolutely loved about him, and a lot of my friends just left him unblocked because they don't want to lose a creature. And it's such a fun card because, like I said, it's not just once. You can do it multiple times. So if you have 6 mana, you can give him +6/+6, right? Making him a 7/8. It's so good. And just the basic fact of it gets a death touch until the end of turn is even better in my opinion because it's it's just so nice. It's such a fun card to mess with and play around with. It's such a fun card. And the story behind me misunderstanding what this card was, for some reason I had it in my head that his name was Ebon. He is a knight of the Ebon Legion. He himself is Ebon, and that's his legion. No, he is a knight that is a part of the Legion that is the Ebon Legion, which are a bunch of vampires that I do believe are controlled by Edgar Markov, right? Yeah, I was dumb, misunderstood the card. I love this card so much that I've actually commissioned one of my friends who's an artist to make me my version of a character that I made based off this card. And I cannot wait to actually make it, play it, or make a deck around it and then play it because I think it'd be so much fun to have my creation of what I thought this card was. It's basically, imagine like reading an anime or a comic book and having your headcanon become reality. That's what I'm doing with this, and I think it's hysterical. But with all that said, there is a second ability here that is at the beginning of your end step. If a player lost 4 or more life this turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Now, in a standard 1-on-1, obviously you only have one opponent. If that one opponent loses life at the end of your turn, or loses 4 or more life at the end of turn, boom, get a 1/1 counter. So by turn 3, if you buff him up and you hit with all the damage, he's going to get a 1/1 counter. But usually you're not playing with just one creature, or at least in the deck that he was introduced to with M20. You're going to have multiple creatures, so you're going to easily get 4 or more damage, right? But the thing that I really enjoyed about him is we actually started playing a 4-player standard, and we didn't know that that's literally just Commander, but with extra cards, or with less cards and just standard decks. And we actually found it to be really fun because we like the idea of we can only do so much on our turns, but then when we found out we can do stuff on like multiple turns that aren't ours, like instances obviously, or activate abilities, because Knight of the Ebon Legion's ability is instant speed. It does not say that it can only be activated as a sorcery. So in response to someone attacking you, you can be like, oh, 3 mana, boom, he's a 4/5 with death touch now. That's what I think is even cooler with him. He makes a really cool blocker. And Knight of the Ebon Legion, I will always love this card. I love everything about this card. It's in my Knights deck, and I've talked about that before. It's funny enough, my favorite card is in my favorite deck. Love it to death. It's so poetic. Everything came full circle, you know? But the thing I like is I don't even have to really do anything with this either, because when we were playing that 4-player standard, I would always talk my friends into hitting somebody else with their instant spells. So like we have a friend who he really likes red. So he likes burning people and doing stuff. I was like, hey, can you hit him for 4 and I won't attack you? And he's like, sure. Boom. Now my creature got bigger. And he's like, didn't think that through. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And it's just very fun. Like I said, we were having fun doing 1-on-1s, but then we're like, what if we just all play together? Because the rules still act the same. And we looked into it. Yes, there is a format like that. Now, we misunderstood. I do believe we misunderstood that it was telling us to play Commander. We thought Commander was, or no, we thought Commander rules were just like the rules. Like that's the cool name for it. So we just played like that, like normal. The four of us against each other. It was pretty fun. We had so many nights of fun with this game. It was so nice. I think it was like the longest game we played was like 8 hours long. But I think that was in Commander. I don't know. Long story short, over a year later, we all get introduced to Commander. Now, the reason that this was introduced to us is because we went back to that local game store after buying, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars worth of cards, and we explained to them, like, yeah, we play like a 4-player standard, and the guy's like, that's just Commander. And we're like, oh, no, we know the rules Commander. Then we explained, he goes, no, you're misunderstanding. Commander's a different format. And we're like, oh, what is that? So then he talks us into it. We go over it. We start understanding more of the game of Commander. And we thought that sounds a lot more fun than Standard. Don't get us wrong. We go back to Standard from time to time. We go back to Modern, stuff like that. 60-card decks. If we don't want to play a long game, we go back to 60-card decks. Hell, sometimes we do 40. Very rarely we do 40, but times. But we get introduced to that in November of 2020, so over a year later. And we thought it was so cool that I went out of my way and I purchased it was like a combo Commander deck. It's basically like one big box that has 2 Commander decks in it side by side, and you buy the whole thing. I think I bought it for, I think $100, $60, something like that. It was crazy. It was crazy in like how cheap they were, because Commander decks now they're about the same, but for one. It was like $70 for one, $50 for one, $80 for one. I bought this thing for like $60 and $80, I think, for 2. The ones I purchased, I think it was Commander Masters was the set. I might be wrong. But it was a Wylith, Soul of Steel, and AC Tyrant of the Gyre Strait deck. So one is Boros, which is red, white, and the other one was Simic, which is in blue. So the whole purpose of Wylith was to my introduction to what's called Voltron, a Voltron-style deck. So what a Voltron-style deck is making one card assemble all the pieces. So like all your enchantments, your auras, your equipments, being buffed up by other creatures, stuff like that. It's basically putting all of it together like a Voltron, which to me, I was like, oh, so it's like a Megazord. And they're like, yeah. So I basically like that idea because, like I said, if you know me, I like hitting people as hard as I can in video games, card games, any version of a game, right? And my favorite fictional character of all time is the Hulk. So when I heard you buff up one creature, I'm like, you know what? I'm here for it. I'm rocking with it. Sounds like fun to me. So Wylith, Soul of the Steel, is a legendary creature. So it is a 3-cost, 1 generic, red-white legendary creature, human warrior. 2 power, 2 toughness. Has 2 abilities, trample, which means if Wylith is a 2/2 and you block with a 1/1, I'm going to hit you for 2, but because you only need 1 damage to die, the other 1 damage is going to go over that creature and hit you directly. Now, second ability is, whenever Wylith attacks, draw a card for each aura and equipment attached to it. I will die on this hill forever and always. Wylith is the best Boros commander to exist. No ifs, ands, buts about it. You can throw me on a cross and burn me alive. I'm just here to say it. Not my fault. It's the truth. It's so good. Boros is one of the best like Voltron colors because you have mono white, which there's a lot of like look for enchantments or look for equipment cards. White also has a lot of things that let you look for straight up equipments, put them on the battlefield, or on the battlefield equip to something. They let you equip at sorcery speed, because equip is an ability of a enchantment or of an artifact equipment. So for example, if the card says like equip 2, you have to pay 2 mana of any color to equip it to a creature, but only at sorcery speed. At instant speed, you can just do it on someone else's turn. Now the creature's massive. Red, there's a lot of really, really good red equipment. There's also cards that let you look for artifacts specifically, and that's why, in my opinion, it's so good. It's so good. And Wylith, like I said, is easily the #1 Boros commander because you draw a card, and it's the least amount I think you're gonna draw statistically is obviously 0, but like more often than not, it's 1. The most I've drawn in 1 turn was 11, and that's because my opponents couldn't deal with me because they kept dealing with each other, and I just sat there slowly going up. But besides me getting off track, I'm just gonna continue on. This deck was the one that I first piloted. piloted. Yeah, was the one that I piloted because I thought it sounded cool. And I was like, well, red and white are pretty fun from like what we've been playing over the years, or at least the year, what we've been playing over the past year. So it's like, okay, red, white, Boros, let's see what I can do. And it was fun, like I said. I won the very first game we played, lost the second, and then I think that we played a bunch more times. I can't remember who won the third one, but it was pretty fun. And I still have Wylith to this day, and I've upgraded it. I've made my own like personal card of it, which I think it's I made a custom card that is, who was it? I think it's Lex Luthor. So Lex Luthor is a character from DC Comics, and this was way before, obviously, they started doing a lot more in-universe stuff every year. So I was like, oh, I can't, like, I don't know if they'll ever do DC, so I'll make my own DC card for it. And obviously, this was years later down the road. This was years later. This wasn't in 2020. I think this was in, like, 2025, 2023, around there. But, yeah, Wylith is very fun. I still have Wylith to this day. One of my favorite decks to play. It's so nice being able to draw cards, and probably one of the worst like colors to draw cards in, because Boros is canonically not the best card drawer. It's like just play your hand and just sit there, But the other deck was the Simic deck, and it's piloted by Rob, and the commander was AC, Tyrant of the Gyre Strait. It is a 6-cost commander, 4 generic, so 4 of any color, 1 green, 1 blue. A legendary creature, Serpent. So, has 2 abilities. First one being, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. You ramp like crazy. Excuse me. So, long story short, you just, as soon as he comes in, the latest is turn 6. If you have mana, obviously. But he's just going to, boom, hit the battlefield. He's going to just do crazy stuff. But being able to play more than 1 land on your turn, which green by itself is known for ramp, blue is known for drawing cards. Having both of those on one thing, being able to play an extra land, which is green, and then its next ability, Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you may draw a card. So you get to play 2 lands, draw 2 cards. You're up. He's just such a strong card. He's so good, and it sounds so simple, right? And he has no protection. He doesn't have like ward. He doesn't have hexproof, shroud. You can just target him. But if you don't have the response to him and you have at least 1 additional land, or if you just wait, because obviously green, you can play multiple spells to like, oh, I'm going to ramp. So by turn 6, you have 2 extra lands in your hand. You'd be like, okay, I'm going to play them. Play my first land, draw a card. Play my second land, draw a card. There's other green cards that say play an additional land. There's other Simic cards that say draw a card. There's blue cards that say when you draw a card, other than the first one you draw on your turn, do something. He's so good, and he's very strong. And Rob struggled to understand the first time with him, and then he understood it the second time and got even better, and he beat the hell out of me the second time. It was insane. It was very fun, and this is where me and him were kind of like, okay, well, I don't want to keep both. I told him I don't want to keep both decks, and I think he ended up paying me half the amount for AC. You believe that's what it was. He paid me half the amount for AC, and he goes, because the deck, like I said, was like 60 to 100, so he paid me half the amount I paid to buy AC from me. And like I said, I still got Wylith, upgraded it, made it better, I just love the deck. He, I think, got rid of AC. I think he might still have it, unless he sold it, because AC at one point peaked at a nice high price, and he goes, well, I'm not playing this anymore, so I think he might have got rid of it. I don't know. He might still have it. I have to ask him. But AC is very fun. Absolutely love AC. Like I said, I still have Wylith. I still have to build my AC soon because I want to build it kind of different. Because I have a lot of ideas up here that aren't just your generic landfall deck. Because I think I want to play AC, but I don't want to play AC with just landfall creatures. I think I want to play AC as the only landfall creature in the deck, if I'm being honest. But yeah. I had a lot of fun with both of those. I'm still to this day playing Commander. I have 30 decks, I think. Yeah, 30. I've never dismantled one until this year. Now, I've deconstructed one to rebuild it up, same deck. But I've never completely gotten rid of a deck, which this year is the first year I do that. My mono red deck, Volduck, Keeper of the Tomb or whatever, he's just not a good commander, in my opinion. There's not enough red support for equipment specifically yet. And I say yet because I'm still waiting to see if they have better ones. I'm throwing him out for Micah, Reader of the Ruins, I believe his name is. He just came out this year. in the new Secrets of Strixhaven deck. He's absolutely crazy. I'm not going to get into it because I can talk about that card for ages. It's probably up there as one of my like top 3 favorite cards. And I'm not even joking. Because right now you have Knight of the Ebon Legion, you have Colossal Hammer, and now you have Micah, Reader of Ruins. Just like I said, he's such a good card. Go look him up. I won't show a picture here because I want you to look him up. Micah, Reader of Ruins, from the new Secrets of Strixhaven deck. He's a mono red creature. So cool, so good. Absolutely love everything about him. Don't even come at me sideways. With all that being said, this is a little bit of a shorter episode because I just want to get these stories out and get you like the lore of why I'm always playing this game, how I play this game, how I got into it, my favorite card, all that. But all that being said, I do appreciate each and every one of you for coming back to hear me, listen to me, whatever. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the lobby next time you decide to queue up.